Talk to me,
Welcome to Purpose Wednesday. I'm Coach Latasha S. Morgan, and I'm here to help you unlock your true potential.
Hello there. Welcome to Purpose Wednesday. I'm Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies, y'all. I've had an amazing day, and I pray that you have had an amazing day as well. I also pray that every day to come is even greater and more amazing than the one before. Listen, we are going to be talking about purpose was never on hold. You were in preparation. And I hope this had stopped falling in my face, Anyway, so we're going to be looking at Joseph today, Genesis chapters 37 through 50. No, we're not going to read all of those. I read them, but we're not going to read them all tonight. But like I said, we're going to be talking about purpose was never on hold. You were in preparation. Listen, you've been faithful. You've been waiting. And somewhere deep inside, you're asking, did I miss my moment? Well, hear me clearly when I say this again. Purpose was never on hold. You were in preparation. A lot of times we think just because purpose, we've heard something, God has spoken to us, we've seen it in dreams and visions, just like Joseph. Someone has told us we had a prophecy, but because we haven't seen it, maybe we feel we've missed something. What did I do? How did I mess this up? What is going on? Why haven't I seen? Did I wait too long? Did I do something wrong? But let's look at Joseph. Let's walk through the life of Joseph. Joseph in Genesis chapter 37, verse 2 is 17 years old. And this is when he begins to see the dreams that God has given him. Joseph has these great dreams. He says to his brothers in Genesis chapter 37, verse 6, he says, and he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. They bowed down before his sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shall thou indeed reign over us? Or shall thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream. Verse 9. And told his brethren and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. In other words, they bowed to him. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? Verse 10. Listen, as with many of us, God showed Joseph where he was going, but he did not explain the process. And that's what happens with most of us. God tells us what we're going to do and what's going to happen and take place, right? We have dreams, we have visions, we have prophetic words spoken over us, but we don't know the process. Whenever God gets ready to do something, there is always a process. And he's going to always prepare you for that particular thing. So, purpose was never on hold. You were in preparation. Joseph's brothers are jealous, threatened by what God has placed on him. In Genesis chapter 37, verses 23 through 28, they strip him of his coat of many colors. Because remember, and if you don't know I didn't say this before, but the coat of many colors was given to him by his father because he loved him. He loved him. He was the first child born of Rachel, Joseph's mother. And Rachel was the one that Jacob loved, and he was born in his old age. So they throw Joseph into a pit and sell him into slavery. The dreamer becomes property. The favored son becomes a foreign servant. He goes into Egypt. He's sold by the Midianites into Egypt. And Potiphar buys him. So he becomes a slave in Potiphar's house. And from the outside looking in, it looks as if maybe what Joseph dreamed wasn't from God. Maybe it looks like what God you think God showed you. Maybe it looks like to you and from the people on the outside looking in that God didn't say anything. That God is not going to do what he said he's going to do. But there's a but in this story. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 39, verse 2, and the Lord was with Joseph. Even though Joseph was in slavery, even though he had been sold, even though his status changed, God was still with him. And this was God's plan all along, because in purpose, you must be prepared for purpose. You will not be able to sustain and handle what's going to take place in your purpose if you don't go through the process. The process is necessary, but God is with you even in the process. Joseph is in Potiphar's house, but because God is with him, Joseph is favored. Potiphar doesn't worry about anything in his house. Nothing except the bread that he eats. Joseph is set over his house. And then here comes the devil. Boy, that old devil, I tell you the truth. Even when he's favored. Potiphar's wife hounds him about having sex with her, coming unto her, being with her. She sees his great looking favored man of God. Hallelujah. And she accuses him of rape because he refuses to go against God, and he refuses to dishonor Potiphar. He's lied on, and he's thrown in prison. Potiphar is angry because he believes that Joseph has disrespected him. He has tried to rape his wife and mock them as a Hebrew. He's thrown in prison. But even in prison, still God is with Joseph. Still, Joseph has favor. He's set over the prisoners. And the God doesn't worry about anything. He doesn't worry about anything. He allows Joseph to be over the prisoners. And here comes the baker. Here comes the butler. They're thrown into prison because Pharaoh becomes angry with them. Even in prison, Joseph doesn't shut down. He still uses his gifts. He leads, he serves. And he uses his gifts for Pharaoh's officers, the butler and the baker. They both have dreams on the same night. They are both, their dreams considers 3 days that they will be released from prison. One will die and one will return to his job. The butler returns to his job and the baker dies. But still, the butler forgets Joseph. Even though Joseph tells him, don't forget about me. Tell them I'm in here and I haven't done anything wrong. But remember me when you get out of here. The butler forgets about him. 2 whole years goes by. And then, because Pharaoh has a dream, well, he has 2 dreams that are both have the same interpretations, rather. The butler remembers Joseph and tells Pharaoh that he interpreted the dreams that him and the baker had, the butler and the baker had. Joseph is brought before Pharaoh. He interprets the dream. No one else could interpret the dreams Pharaoh had but Joseph. Because of the God that was with Joseph, because of the God that was in Joseph, because of the God with Joseph, the gifts that God gave Joseph, he was able to interpret the dreams of Pharaoh. 13 years after the dreams that God gave Joseph, he stood before Pharaoh. 13 years after the dreams God gave him, the word that God spoke to him, he became ruler, only second in command to Pharaoh. The purpose we thought was forgotten. From the outside looking in, Joseph was in prison. He was in a pit. And they thought that it was going to stop him. The pit didn't stop him. The prison didn't delay him. All it did was prepare him. Because now we see the purpose coming to pass. Now we see it rolling, right? We see him moving. God is now moving. Then, honey, I'm going to stop right here to tell you, this is your then moment. This is your then moment. I don't care what pit you were in. I don't care what prison you were in. It didn't stop you and didn't delay you. It just prepared you. I don't care what you faced before now. This is the moment to step up and move in purpose. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your season. Don't allow anything to keep you and stop you from doing what God called you to do. Just because you haven't seen it come to fruition yet, just because you haven't seen it come to pass, does not mean that there is a delay. It does not mean that you have been denied. It does not mean that it is on hold. You were being prepared. A lot of us faced a whole lot of crazy stuff last year. A lot of us are facing things now, but it only prepared you. It's not putting you on hold. Then it was still some years later that he saw his brothers and they bowed before him. The dream came to fruition. Then his father came with their whole family. It was like 70 of them. Listen. I want you to listen to me. Come a little closer. You're not on hold. You're being prepared. Even Joseph said to his brothers, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is in this day, to save much people alive." Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. What you are going through is just so it can save other people's lives. God has a certain time, a certain season, a certain moment for all of us. Joseph had to go in his moment, in his season, in the very time that Egypt and the rest of the world needed him to be there. If he had been there before time, it wouldn't have worked. But God puts us in places where he needs us the most. Joseph was needed in the pit to learn humility, the house to learn management, in the prison to learn leadership under pressure. What do you need to learn? Why were you in the pit, the house, or the prison? Think about it and understand and know that it all has a purpose. It's to build you up, to get you to where you need to be so that you can do what he called you to do. I know what you're experiencing or what you've experienced seems unfair to you. If obedience hasn't produced immediate results, if waiting feels heavier than trusting, let this settle in your spirit. God is not wasting your time. He is preparing you for what the promise requires. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You are not delayed. Again, purpose was never on hold. You were in preparation. Genesis 37 through 50 reveals that Joseph's delay was not denial, but divine preparation, turning vision into wisdom and authority into stewardship. I want you to take this moment and this week to reflect on this one question. What is God forming in you right now that your future calling will depend on? Again, what is God forming in you right now that your future calling will depend on? This week, I want you to also take an action step. Yeah, we got to take some steps when we learn. This week, stop resisting the season and start asking God, what is this preparing me to handle well? God, what is this preparing me to handle well? This doesn't feel good. I don't like it. But what is this preparing me to handle well? Make this declaration with me. I trust God's timing. I am being prepared, not postponed. Come on, repeat it after me. I trust God's timing. I am being prepared, not postponed. Listen, thank you so much for watching Purpose Wednesday. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. Have a great night, and thank you again for watching Purpose Wednesday. Good night, everybody. Good night.